We have multiple Minnesota Vikings updates as recent reports have come out detailing injury updates on Justin Jefferson, what the plan is for him going forward, as well as what the status is on Jordan Addison after his suspension. We're going to break that down, as well as another injury update on Christian Darrisaw. We have so much to cover as we are getting closer and closer to the season. But ladies and gentlemen, before we do jump into this video, if you're looking for all of your Minnesota Vikings news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button. Join me and Griffin here on the channels. We're covering everything Minnesota Vikings. We know that just over 90% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot, as I mentioned, for all your Vikings news, we got it right here. But we need to jump straight into this, and I want to pull up a little interesting screenshot going over something about the fantasy football aspect of Justin Jefferson. As I'm come polymarket football, fantasy football fans, stay away from Justin Jefferson. A hamstring issue, new QB, and a tough schedule. Not a top 5 wide receiver in 25-26, and it is outstanding to me how many people are underestimating the aspects of Justin Jefferson. Yes, a hamstring issue right now. They're a bit of an interesting thing to walk around. Obviously, hamstring injuries can reoccur quite a little bit, but when we go and take a look at Justin Jefferson, they're sitting him out longer than probably he would like, longer than they would like, just to keep him healthy, just to keep him, fully rested. One thing I'm going to pull up here in a moment is a quote coming out from Jeremy Fowler about how the team is happy that he has this hamstring injury. And, this may be a bit crazy, but stick around for that. Tough QB. Crazy that you're still underestimating J.J. McCarthy. You could have anybody throwing to Justin Jefferson, let alone J.J. McCarthy, who is going to be a good quarterback. We saw some absolutely crazy quarterbacks throw to Justin Jefferson over the past few years, and he somehow manages to make them look incredible. And a tough schedule, that makes it even better. That just makes more competition for Justin Jefferson, more anticipation for him to become the greatest wide receiver in Minnesota Vikings history. I know that's probably a crazy thing to say, but things are looking in that direction for, at some point in throughout his career. And the fact that they're not calling him a top 5 wide receiver in 25-26, the best wide receiver in the league, you're calling him not a top 5 in 25-26, genuinely insane to me, especially when you're coming to take a look at, the offense right now. Yes, J.J. McCarthy still has questions surrounding him, but when you look at Justin Jefferson, everybody surrounding him, he has help. He's not going to be the lone guy out there. He's not the lone wolf out there. You have two incredible running backs in Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. You have Jordan Addison, who will be suspended 3 games. We're going to jump into that here now in a moment. Behind him, Jalen Nailor, recently drafted Tai Felton, and Rondale Moore, who, if healthy, will be a phenomenal wide receiver. The Vikings have options, let alone for Justin Jefferson, but also for J.J. McCarthy. So this right here is genuinely insane. And, of course, if you have Justin Jefferson on your fantasy team, keep him. Don't let him go. I'm trying to get him right now. So, this is just genuinely insane. But let's not get lost in this, because we know this is going to be a great team. We know Justin Jefferson is going to be a great player this year, and so will J.J. McCarthy. But I did want to pull up that injury kind of update from Jeremy Fowler, which I mentioned, where he says, my sense is that some of the Vikings are sort of relieved that he can rest up during a long camp. He could get some practice work in this week, but expected Minnesota to slowly ease him back in. So, the headline of this article was, Vikings are happy Justin Jefferson had this hamstring injury. I guess in sort of a way, it's a crazy way to title that article, but it is good. They're getting him rested up, getting him ready for the season. You don't want to burn him out too quick. He won't be, he's a very, very, very durable wide receiver, and especially off a hamstring injury, it is the safest play here. So yes, it is a bit of a concern, but I think that, this camp, resting him for it, is exactly what the Vikings need to do here. So let me know what you think about J.J. McCarthy, but we have to move on to a very unfortunate update, I guess we could say, from Jordan Addison. Adam Schefter tweeted this out yesterday. Discipline during NFL suspended Jordan Addison for 3 games of the 2025 season. The first 3 games, that is, for violating the substance of abuse policy. Missing a game at Chicago, the Falcons, and the Bengals. So 3, what I would say, tough games. Obviously, this team is a very good team, but you can't really take any games easy. You can't assume any games will be easy, but this is a big loss for those games. I've spoken about here on the channel in a few videos prior that we have guys, and as I mentioned, I'll pull them up once again. We have guys that will really be able to take over Jordan Addison's role. Jalen Nailor has been absolutely fantastic over his tenure with this Vikings team. Whether or not it is his last season, he still is here right now, and that's the more important thing, that he can jump into this wide receiver 2 spot, take over what Jordan Addison is going to be missing on this team, and we saw him last year being an exceptional player. So pulling that, into what we expected, it makes a lot of sense. I think that the Vikings were already preparing for that. I think that Jalen Nailor was already preparing that for for all of this. So I think the Vikings kind of were ahead of the step and ready to go. And I do have a kind of a update here from Jeremy Fowler as well, discussing what Jalen Nailor is really bringing to this team. And he says he's getting a lot of love at camp. When I asked Kevin O'Connell about players picking up the slack in Jefferson's absence, he was quick to mention Nailor. We're looking for Speedy to pick up where he left off last year. O'Connell said Nailor had 134 receiving yards in the final 2 regular season games. So I remember, and we all remember, the way that he ended last season. He was very, very good and was a very important part of this team heading into the last few games. Now, Jalen Nailor, especially taking over for Justin Jefferson in the time of his absence, now taking over for, I guess we could really, not say taking over, but filling in on the slot where Jordan Addison will be suspended. He's really highlighting this training camp for the past little while, and I'm expecting this to happen into the regular season as well as we, get into a deeper part of the season. And it'll be interesting to see what happens with Jordan Addison going forward, whether the Vikings, like Jalen Nailor, like what he brings, or whether or not Jordan Addison will be still taking over that secondary role when he comes back into the to the lineup after his suspension. And I want to know what you guys think about that as well, because I think there's a lot of interesting things going down that we've spoken about here on the channel, as well as could they kind of highlight Jalen Nailor over Jordan Addison. May not be the greatest idea to think of right now, but we'll have to just wait and see until things get underway. But one final update before we do finish the video off. The Vikings fan page tweeted this out a few days ago. The Vikings tackle Christian Darrisaw progressing towards his ACL injury is impressive, and he could return sooner than initially expected from Alec Lewis of The Athletic. They said his presence could allow for an earlier resumption of play than initially expected. Now, of course, we saw the ACL tear last year against the Rams. Definitely not what we wanted to see, but having this offseason of recovery, not necessarily an early recovery, but a very impressive recovery, which resulting in a possible return sooner than expected for Christian Darrisaw, is a very big win for this Minnesota Vikings team. Now, I'll say it again. I've said it numerous times as this channel's going on over the past year, that I don't want to rush anybody back from injury, especially a star tackle, from an ACL injury. You can't risk him coming back on a long-term injury list. And going into the season, we expected a few game absence here, but even if it still is a few game absence, even if he does not return sooner than expected, I will just be happy to see Christian Darrisaw return to this lineup, because as we look at the offensive line right now, this offensive line is completely revamped. So it's not going to be all the pressure on Christian Darrisaw to be the lockdown guy for this team. We have Donovan Jackson, who can play left tackle if needed, recently drafted from this team. Blake Brandel, going as a backup left guard, could jump into the left guard. Donovan Jackson moved to left tackle, where he did all of last season in college, with Ryan Kelly, Will Fries coming over from the Colts, and Brian O'Neill rounding out the offensive line. This team is put in a very good position now to help out Christian Darrisaw as we get closer and closer to the season with J.J. McCarthy. They wanted to lock down this offensive line. They did that. They got their quarterback. They rounded out the wide receiver group. This team is just built to win, and I'm expecting that here in this season. So let me know what you think about all of the news that we have here today. But if you did enjoy this video, give it a like, hit the sub button. Remember, a lot of Vikings news is coming your way very soon. So if you're looking for any of it, you're right here in the right spot. Be sure to hit the sub button. But like I said, that's all I got. Thank you for watching. Hope you have a great day. See you later.